Hi there, my friends. This is Ethan Wise. Thank you for joining me in this video. I hope that this video will be helpful for you. As you could see here, I'm sharing with you the diagram for the drama triangle, which I have discussed earlier in another video. And today in this video, we're going to focus on how this drama triangle is something that you could use within yourself as a psychological tool to explore your own relationship with your own self. Whether you're sabotaging yourself or becoming a victim and remaining stuck in this dynamics on your own, by yourself, within yourself. So this does apply to other people. You could always use it to explore interaction and relationships and attachment among people. But in this video, we're focusing on you and how you might be stuck in the drama triangle yourself. So by looking down at the bottom of the triangle here in this graphic, in this diagram, you see victim. We're all very familiar with what that means. Victim is somebody that feels victimized, feels weak, has a persecutor or something negative that has happened to them. Okay? So if you have identified or if you are currently identifying as a victim in one or more than one area in your life, you probably know what I mean. We have all been there. Every human being at some point in their life was and identified as a victim. It could be a little subtle or tricky sometimes. And to make it easy to understand this triangle and as a result being able to have awareness and then escape the drama triangle on your own, it helps to look at this with a perception or perspective of power. Some people use the word energy as well. These words you're seeing here, victim, rescuer, and persecutor, they are archetypes or roles or identities that people take on from time to time, sometimes in different situations than others. And instead of just defining what it means, it is really helpful to look at this and look at the power aspect of this. Are you being autonomous? Are you holding your power, embodying your power, keeping your power, or are you giving it to others and losing it? So, from a power perspective, victim is somebody that has had their power taken away from them but did not get it back or gave it away to somebody else for one reason or another. A victim is somebody that is powerless or lacking in having power. Rescuer is somebody that feels they have enough power and that they're able to help a victim. The rescuer wants to give their power to the victim to help the victim be rescued, stand up on their own feet. Okay, jump in the water using your own power and skills. Go help this guy and person and get them out of the water. The risk is when you jump in, if you jump in the water, if you jump in the mud, you can get stuck. Many times the victim might resist for one or another reason. The victim could resist for so many reasons. The rescuer ends up becoming entrapped with the victim and becoming a victim themselves, or becoming frustrated and becoming a persecutor because they're trying so hard to help the victim, but the victim is not being helped. The persecutor has a tendency of blaming the victim, accusing the victim of things, being frustrated, calling the victim names, and using shame and guilt towards the victim. Imagine that this is happening inside of you. you might identify as a victim in some case. And then you tell yourself, well, I'm going to fix this. I'm going to rescue myself. But then, for some reason, you become a persecutor, which happens very often. And all of a sudden, you are belittling yourself or calling yourself names or saying things to the victim like, you don't have it in you. You can't do this. You just aren't good enough. Or shame and guilt. How could you not do this? Many people are familiar with this dynamics. How could you fail? And what happens as a result? The victim remains a victim. The rescuer always fails, and the persecutor always complains. The persecutor is trying to force their power onto the victim. The rescuer is trying to give their power to the victim. The victim doesn't know what it's like to have the power. Everybody loses, and in this scenario, you end up losing and getting stuck in the internal drama, which I'm able to make the internal drama triangle. Apparently I can't. There you go. Okay. Pointing down because it's just a downward spiral. Antidote to this is the empowerment dynamics or the empowerment triangle. Here's one depiction of that. And the reason I'm sharing this one is because you can see some of the helpful thoughts or sentences that people use to help you distinguish between these. But going back to the concept of power, look at here on the right side, a creator clearly has power to create, clearly has some confidence to create, clearly thinks they can create. The challenger is somebody that has power enough to challenge somebody else without jumping into the mud with them. Same thing with the coach. A coach challenges a person on what are you going to do about it? What are the solutions? And you can find your own power internally and move from this triangle to the other. Now, I bring this up because yesterday I had a client and she said, I need to rescue myself, which reminded me of this triangle. She wanted to end her suffering, improve her situation by becoming the rescuer and rescue herself, which is good. That's better than being a victim, isn't it? The risk is what I explained already. The risk is a rescuer comes from a mentality that says, I will help you, I will do it for you, I will force rescue you because you are helpless and weak. By definition, the rescuer is coming to help the victim. So she sees herself as a victim. And in her case, which is the case with many people, she becomes a persecutor. Many times the rescuer becomes a persecutor who starts saying negative things to the victim because she has identified with being a victim, or more accurately here, has the energy or gave up the power. Thus, the victim is powerless. And this whole triangle is about that. So looking at this diagram, the drama triangle is anxiety-based and it's problem-focused. Anxiety-based and problem-focused. The difference up here in the empowerment dynamics is that it is outcome-focused, goal-focused, passion-based, progress-focused, action-focused, and power-focused. Some people remember a time when they were embodying their power or feeling that they are retaining their own power. Sometimes it's easy to remember that and bring it back to the present reality, which changes your attitude. And all of a sudden, rather than being a persecutor, You are a challenger. You challenge yourself. You encourage yourself like a coach. You're not rescuing. You're not belittling. You're not attacking the victim and looking at a person like a victim, but rather having faith, giving them grace, giving them space to show you that they can meet your challenge. Let's take a look at this diagram here and explore how this applies to you and other people internally within your own self. Okay? A victim says, poor me, feels powerless, has given up their power, it's been taken away from them. They feel like they lost already. They have been denied something. That's the victim mentality. The rescuer is looking at the victim. They think, poor you, let me help you. The problem is with a rescuer, it's never enough. They offer temporary pain relief, a solution for a short period. You could do that with yourself. Quickly, they become a persecutor where focusing on blame, focusing on the weaknesses, focusing on what the victim is focused on and what the victim is lacking. It doesn't matter where you are in those three archetypes. If you're in any one of those, you are stuck in the drama triangle. Some people call it the dreaded drama triangle. And to shift, it's first thing, bring awareness to it. Be aware of what's happening. Once you realize it, next question is, what do I do about it? You could bring back a memory of your past when you actually felt like you owned your power. You were not a victim, which will help you think differently. Or number two is that you could start changing the language and changing the focus on solutions, outcomes, actions, passions, and being challenged. And then changing the words that you're using. Okay? Changing the words to saying something like, how will I do it? See, that's a very important question. How will I do this? And then encouraging yourself and saying, I can do it. Focusing on outcomes. In fact, even if you fail, here, it's not a failure for you. It's only feedback and it's a lesson. Because failure is what a victim sees. And when you decide that I am not going to be in that triangle, I am a creator, I am experimenting. If something doesn't work, it's either a lesson, show me what to do next, it's feedback, or just something to avoid in the future. And then the challenger says you can do it. So positive self-talk and shifting your attitude into challenging yourself into becoming to think about actions and being constructive and focusing on growth, constant learning. These, not surprisingly, are the qualities of successful business people, successful entrepreneurs. They made the shift. And you could do that internally with yourself. These diagrams here help you notice, ask yourself today, am I currently stuck in that drama triangle right now? If you are, first accept that that is the case with kindness, because what does a coach do? A coach is kind, but the coach also challenges people. If you become judgmental, you become a persecutor. Okay? So when you notice that you are being a victim, one way to escape is to decide that you're not going to persecute yourself. If it's not easy to shift away from the victim mentality, then shift into the challenger or the coach. If it's not easy to go from victim to creator, which is a big shift, just go into becoming a coach or becoming a challenger. And your words will make a difference here. Here's another nice diagram. And by the way, none of those are my own. I'm only using them here for purposes of education, raising awareness, and helping you go and do your own work and your own research. So this is my disclaimer. This whole video is for educational purposes. You can also download it if you know how to. Share it with anybody you'd like to for free. Go ahead, share this with everybody you know. And also like the video, subscribe, because that helps the website show this to more people. If you tell the website that, yes, I actually like what I see. So a victim feels powerless. I'm going to repeat myself again. Feels at risk, expecting negative things to happen, discounts their own power, their own ability is being questioned by themselves. It's also being questioned by the persecutor, discounts the need of others, which only keeps you getting stuck more and more, and seeks to dominate. The problem is you're dominating over yourself, over your own victim, and you're rejecting seeking out for help or accepting somebody to show up like a coach and offer you a little bit of advice. Okay. The rescuer puts the victim's need above their own needs, and that is a trap. Doing this, the rescuer becomes a victim and becomes bitter, becomes a persecutor. So in the case of my client from yesterday, she said, I need to rescue myself, but I pointed to her that it seems like you have been persecuting yourself. And the harder you try to rescue yourself, the more you're at risk of becoming more of a persecutor. So shift the energy, shift the words, the sentences, the attitude, and move into goals, success, learning, asking questions like, how can I do so and so? Now, the victims ask what I call deadly questions. A deadly question is a question that has no answer, except for a negative answer. A question like, how come I always lose? Why is it that nobody listens to me? Why is this so difficult? There is a question mark at the end, but these are not questions. Because in every case, the answer is negative and it's reinforcing the statement that's being made in disguised as a question. They're not questions. Real questions are, how will I do this? What can I do to make the change? What can I do to reach this goal? What are the steps that are needed to do that? Okay. What is needed? How can I do it? What does it take? What do I need? Then you get answers that actually are actionable that you could put into practice. So I hope this was helpful. Here's the other screen for you to read if you like. So the creator is oriented towards focus. They have visions, they have desires, they're focused on those, focused on outcomes, focused on success. Challenger and coach are also creators and co-creators. So the coach asks good questions, helps the person, in this case, helping yourself, see possibilities and break through to leave that drama triangle. Okay? The coach helps the self become engaged in the creative process, brainstorming solutions and steps. But it starts with these good questions that set their mentality. And then in doing so, all of a sudden you have reclaimed your power and now you're in the empowerment dynamic or the empowerment triangle. Then you will know what it feels like, and you might remember what it feels like to own your power. And you become a creator, creating ideas, trusting in your ability, even if you have mishaps, you keep learning, creating, because you're focused now and you're up here in the triangle pointing upwards, and your reality will shift and your behavior will shift and your outcomes will also show that change. So again, thank you for listening. Remember to like and subscribe. And if you have any questions, you can find me on ethanewise.com, ethanewise.com. And from here, you can scroll down and find my other websites. And if you send me a text message or an email, please give me a few days to respond. I will always get to you, but it might take a little bit of time for me to respond. So be patient and thank you. Now that you have made it to the end of this video, this is a good opportunity for me to remind you to take a deep belly breath. And when you exhale, release tension somewhere in your body to bring in a little bit of relaxation. And you could always do this again and again, as many times as you need, because we could always use more deep breathing and more oxygen. I wish you all the best, and I will see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.